In today's video, I'm going to share with you one of my on-court coaching sessions where you'll see me working with a great tennis player, helping him to improve his serve. I think the stuff I'm talking about in this video will help a lot of you out there to improve yours. Before we got on court, I was watching his YouTube channel, watching him play a couple of points. Now, he's playing a great opponent, so after he's hitting a serve, he's expecting a good return back. And what's happening is he's rushing his serve because he's trying to get back behind that baseline as quickly as possible. If you notice what his foot's doing here, his right foot isn't overtaking his left like you'd see with the greatest servers in the world. He's rushing that movement to try and drop back behind the baseline. And in doing so, he's not fully completing his service motion, which is really hindering his ability to hit a great serve. When you're practicing your serve on your own, no one's returning the ball, it's important, at least for some of your training session, to start to visualize that ball being returned. Because without an opponent, we tend to serve, body weight goes forwards, we end up in no man's land, and doesn't look bad, doesn't look wrong, but it's not realistic. And when that ball begins to come back in a real match, it changes how we serve. Our entire technique often changes when after the serve, we have to move back and recover for the next shot. So practice that situation. So this was a pretty easy fix. Getting him to complete that service motion, have that right foot overtake his left, push back behind the baseline. But what happened then is I felt like he was over-rotating his entire body. Ideally, we want that right leg to go back as the shoulders rotate to create torque. Just make sure when you're jumping forwards, we want that shoulder rotation, but try and feel like your right leg is going the opposite direction, so we're creating torque. Because if you spin everything around together, if your right knee comes all the way past, we're just sort of spinning around instead of creating this torque by things moving in opposite directions. And sometimes your right knee kind of overtakes your hip. By rotating your shoulders, you essentially create a path for your arm and racket to follow, which allows you to rotate the arm and pronate, get the tip of the racket moving a lot faster than the handle, which is essentially what racket speed is. What Vince tends to do is drive the racket towards the target. Instead of the racket facing the target, just rotate it and feel like your thumb goes from this position to this position. And that's how you snap it through. So you don't snap with the wrist, you snap by rotating the arm. So hopefully by rotating his body a little bit better, he's able to rotate the arm a little bit better. But when I asked him to do this, I noticed how he struggled to keep the grip. A lot of people struggle with this. When he finishes that shot, it almost looks like he has a forehand grip. And he said that his grip often slips. So why is this happening?
I twisted it in my hand.
Well, check this out. He's got the finger, index finger, the most important finger off the racket. Now, I think this sometimes happens if you hold it too high up. As you start to move, it'll come off. So you need to really have this trigger finger in a strong position. And this is what's going to allow you to move that racket head. If you're serving without using this index finger, well, you sort of have to drive the racket towards the target, because if you rotate, you'll lose the grip. And often people will slip into like an Eastern forehand grip instead of a continental. Really, your index finger is the most important one because that's what's going to pull the racket through. Just do a few serves and feel like you're really using that index finger to move the racket head, and then do a few where you don't use it. Like, kind of have this position where your thumb and your index finger are off. And what you'll find is you have to drive through because you can't move this through. Plus, you're saying that your grip also slides. Of course it slides. You've chopped one of your fingers off. All right, so really use your index finger here. Tell me what it feels like once you've engaged the index finger. Mate, you're going to move the racket so much faster with that finger. It's going to make a huge difference. So we tried to tie it all together. See if you can rotate his shoulders, get that right leg going back. Nice. But I gave him one more thing, which may be too much to focus on right now, but I think it's good advice for his future practice sessions. First of all, got to obviously use your trigger finger to move this racket head through. So that's the first thing you really got to focus on. The next thing is feeling like this back leg goes back as the shoulders turn. You're going to get torque. You're going to hit it a lot harder. It helps when the body is tilted forwards a little bit because if you're straight up and you're very upright, it's hard to get this going on. And the last thing that we haven't really addressed, but maybe you could go away and think about it, is the throwing position. Because when you throw from this kind of position, your elbow is below the line of your shoulders or in front. I mean, imagine throwing from here. So you end up having to climb up to hit it instead of being in a position where you can throw up and diagonally to hit it. Right, so if you're in this position, you now can drive your elbow diagonally 45 degrees and throw your arm and the racket at the ball. From this position, it's not a great position to throw from. So it makes you have to go up with the elbow, which doesn't really give you as much power. All right, so you can maybe start in this position, with the racket up, elbow in this spot, and just kind of throw it up and, whack it. Or you can obviously try and do it as part of the motion. But I would try and position this elbow in a stronger position to naturally throw. If you're looking to improve your serve, consider signing up to my guide on the serve coordination chain. I'm going to leave a link in the description below and a discount code that's only available for people who've watched this video. For anyone that signs up, it includes a free video analysis. Send me a video of your serve. I will make you a personalized, tailored video response just for you.